Good afternoon, and welcome to this council meeting for the municipality of Dutton Dunwich. It is July 17th, 2024. It is 4 p.m. and I will call this meeting to order. Clerk Tara, if you could get us started, please.
Moved by Loveland, seconded by Pemberton, that the meeting of the council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich opens at 4 p.m. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you. Number 2 on the agenda is our land acknowledgement, and Councillor Pemberton will deliver that.
We will begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of First Nations people who have long-standing relationships to the land, water, and region of southwestern Ontario. We also acknowledge the local Lower Thames River watershed communities, which include Chippewa of the Thames First Nation, Oneida Nation of the Thames, Munsee Delaware Nation and Delaware Nation of Moraviantown. We value the significant historical and contemporary contributions of local and regional First Nations and all of the original peoples of Turtle Island, North America. We are thankful for the opportunity to live, learn, and share with mutual respect and appreciation.
Thank you. I would remind council of any declaration of pecuniary interest. I see none. Item 4 is the adoption of the draft minutes. Council received in your agenda package the minutes from the previous meeting. Are there any changes, errors, or omissions? I see none. The minutes will be adopted as presented to council. Clerk Tara, is there any items not listed on the agenda?
We will just have a verbal update from the CAO treasurer under unfinished business for Dimok line.
Okay, thank you. Our delegation is unable to make it again this evening. We all know what they're dealing with as a family. So I think we'll ask them, or Clerk Tara's suggestion was they present a letter to council and we can hear them out that way. Or if they choose to make another delegation, that'd be fine as well. So we'll move on to Dillon Consulting, and Bander is here from Dillon with the wastewater collection system report. Bander, the floor is yours.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Bander Abutak. I'm a process wastewater engineer in Dillon Consultant. A few weeks ago, we were requested by the municipality to come to Dutton to investigate some overflows and some basement flooding that's happening during high flows and rain events. A few of our civil guys, they went to the site, they did an investigation, and then they did see manholes were completely full to almost to the rim, which means at that elevation, the water has gone through basement elevation at that location. So we were asked for us in our team, the wastewater team, to come to the site and take a look at the wastewater treatment plant, the pumping station, and everything, just to investigate, see where the issue might be. So I've got a little presentation. So this, I'm going to go to the next one here. This is just a few photos of the main pumping station, inside the pumping station and the valve chamber. So the first one, what we did, we looked at everything just from visual. We didn't go into any of the infrastructure. We just looked at it from the top. The main thing that we've seen in the main pumping station is there is all the materials in there is mostly corroded. It's unsafe to operate. The water level, the water elevation for the overflow is very close to the surface to start with. So if anything happens, it's going to flood close to the surface elevation. You don't see it in the photo, but the overflow somewhere up here in this location. There is no safety grading. There is no safety bollards. There is no fencing. There's no backup power. There's no ventilation to start with. A lot of these things were adopted later, like in the 2000s by the ministry, to be for all new design. So more from safety perspective and for operation perspective. When we were looking, like this is just the inside, you can see there's a lot of stuff is corroded. The ladder is unsafe to use. The platform is corroded. The level measurements in here, they're older style, so they don't really read the levels. They just turn on and off with the floats. If you see here, this is the valve chamber. This is where the isolation valves are supposed to be in. It's completely flooded with water. So it's almost impossible to operate this. I don't think anything in there actually works. So if you have to bypass a pumping station, you won't be able to. So you're gonna have to bring in pumping trucks to pump stuff out. Yep, go ahead. And you were gonna ask, that was 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago?
Yeah. I think it's 2 weeks ago. I don't remember the exact date, but 2 weeks ago when we went over there, the pump thing wasn't full, but all the valve chamber was full. All the manholes covered that we opened up, they were already full of water.
Okay, I would just like to take a look at the weather around that time.
It was sunny
It was sunny.
when I went that day.
In the previous couple of days,
It was also sunny.
so it was drier at that
It
time.
was drier at that time, yes.
Okay. If you were out here on a rain event,
I know Jason, when he came to site, I think he either saw or somebody told him that the manholes along the way or in the area were all flooded all the way to the top. Yeah, no problem. I don't have a photo of, there's a directional manhole, which is next to the pumping station, which is receiving all the new flows from the new development. That manhole, we opened it up, we looked at the water level. The water level in that manhole is the same water level in the pumping station. And the reason for that, that manhole, when it was installed deep, and then discharge from the manhole came directly to the bottom of the pumping station. You don't do the design that way because then you don't have the band of operation that you need. And as soon as the pumping station gets backed up, filled up for any reason, it's filling up that manhole, and it just moves along all the way back to the distribution system. To people's basements. So I'll go to the next one here. This is just a summary of everything I just said. We don't have to go through this one. And then when we went to the wastewater treatment plant and we collected all the weekly flow rates, the weekly elevation and the runtime for the pumps. Nobody records daily flows. So we had to calculate what the average flows, and there's no way for us to be able to calculate the peak flows. But we know that peak flows have surpassed it because he doesn't record it. So we just had to calculate and find an average and apply a peaking factor. But in any case, we looked in the ECA for the plant, the ECA for the pumping station, and we also looked at the pumps themselves, design points, and we contacted the pump supplier. Those pumps are rated for 21 liters per second, just in general. That's what they're supposed, each of those pumps. So the pumping station is rated for 21 liters per second. The problem is this pumping station is also receiving flows from pumping station number 2 and 3. Those pump stations, based on the ECA, they're rated for 35 liters per second combined. So you're already sending more than what this pumping station can handle. And this doesn't include the new subdivision that was already connected to it. So these flows could exceed 40 to 50 liters per second, just depending on what's coming into the pumping station. So in here, I'm just saying that it's 21, but you're receiving minimum 35 when the two pump stations are running, and which means you're already minus 10 liters per second coming in. So going best case scenario, assuming that these pumps in there are running at 21 liters per second, which they are not based on the calculation we've done. 21 liters per second with 35, with the volume of the wet well itself and the location where the overflow is, you only have minimum 20 minutes for this pumping station fills up. And this is the best case scenario with one pump is running. When we did our calculation, we found out that the pumps are only able to pump out 10 liters per second each. And this is when the operator is having, when he has issues, he'll turn on the second pump manual because they don't turn on automatically. They're designed for one or the other, duty standby. He turns the other one on, and then depending on the water level in the wet well, it might go up to 15 liters per second, the two pumps running together. So we already have deficiencies in the pumps. And the reason we think we're only pumping out at 10 liters per second, maximum 15 with two, is that force main is too small. And it might be blockage there might be something in there. It might have collapsed part of it. There's something in there that's not allowing it to allow all the flow to go through. And based on the information from the municipality, there is expansions in the future going to happen. So you're going to have even more flows coming in. So we know that the 150 or the 6-inch spot is not large enough already for these flows. And we could talk about in the recommendation that force main has to be upsized. No matter what we do, we have to upsize that force main. And then based on when I talked about the manhole, when it's installed really deep, that pumping station now has to be much deeper to allow for the flows to continue through that manhole by gravity into the pumping station and allow for all that band of operation. So I think on the next one, if you guys have any questions, just stop me. I'll go through it. And this one here, I just did this one as just a quick presentation of it. So this is the new houses in the development, the basement. So these are all the different service manholes along the way. This represents the directional manhole, which is down here. This is the new one that was installed, and the pumping station is right next to it here. So you can see I just represented they're both on almost the same elevation. So what's happening right now when the dry weather event, the pumps, when they don't turn on, there's still water in the pumping station because they have to be submerged at all time. So the water level is already down here. As the flow comes up, your operation band now for this pump station is normally here. So you're already backed up all the way to these manholes, just at the bottom of the manholes. As flow comes in, more flow comes in, and your pumps are not keeping up, your wet well continues all the way up to the overflow level. So now it's overflowing here, but it's already high enough that it's already in the people's basements. That's really the easy way of just looking at it and to understand it. If this was a brand new pumping station, the design for this one would lower the overflow down to this elevation, or change the operation band of the pumps to turn on and off within this location here. So for what would need to be done here is you can't lower this pumping station. You have to add a new pumping station. So adding a new pump station will alleviate the problem with the directional manhole and all these services for these houses. And also will give you the additional volume you would need for future development and for the larger pumps that need to be in there. And then the other one is you have to have the force main added, because now you need a bigger force main to allow for these flows. Because these flows, right now, if this was designed for 21 liters per second using the 6-inch pipe, and you're ready to receiving most likely more than 40 liters per second coming in, that force main is already too small to allow. You have high velocity, that's why you got that straw. You're sucking in as much, and the straw is really small, but you're not going to get all that flow through it all the way to the wastewater treatment plant. So
that, excuse me.
Yeah.
So essentially what you're saying, just so I clarified, the pumping station needs to be new and bigger
Yep.
and lower
And deeper,
and
yes.
deeper. Okay, so that'll accommodate the.
Yeah, to accommodate this and any other future expansion. You have to be able to run the pumping station below.
Yep.
All the bands, all the levels have to be below the basement's level. So the first thing you look at the basement, and that's when you set
Yep.
everything. Then you go out below that one.
One other question, that directional manhole, was
Yep.
it installed too deep?
It was deep as the pumping station.
And that shouldn't have happened that way?
No, my understanding is they had to go that deep because the ground is flat.
Okay.
And by the time you got with that distance, with that minimum percentage elevation from the manhole, let's say from this location here to this location here, you had to go that deep just to be able to get the flow there by gravity.
Okay.
So no matter what, it had to be deep. So you have to go deeper now. Yeah. Okay. This is just the recommendations. So the deeper wet well, new pumps, new force main. The valve chamber, we recommend that when you have to put a valve chamber anyway, we highly recommend you put a flow meter in there, because there's no flow record. There's no way the operator knows what the flow is coming in from anywhere. It just, within the chamber itself, we just have to have a flow meter in there. We were told that the operator takes about an hour to get to site. So, and if there's no power, for the pumping station, even without the operator present, or even if the operator can come in really quickly, you're still going to have only 20 minutes before you start backing up. So having pumps always available with power, it helps reduce any flooding and overflows as well. just from safety, the normal design now is always fencing, bollards, grading, safety, hoist for the operator to be, if they want to be able to go down in there. You have to have all these things to allow them to do a good operation. And then the one thing is we never looked at pump station number 2 and 3. So we don't know what the effect of any new development might happen on those as well. So we don't know if adding more development, like infills where those pump station 2 and 3 might affect them. I don't know. That's something that if you want, that can also be looked at eventually. But at least if we make this pump station larger, all the flows will come in, it becomes over-designed for this, for the next maybe 5 to 10 years. Until you get more development, then you can replace pumps. You can phase things, but you cannot phase the pumping station, the force main. But the pumps and electronics and things that can be phased over 10, 20 years. So that could be looked at as well. And I just put in here just from previous project, even recent project we did for Elsa Craig and everything, pump station of this size with a manhole, pumping station, valve chamber, force main is between the $3 to $4 million range. And engineering is usually between that 10 to 15%. It all depends on the design and what we need to do. So I put in what detailed design may be to tender, and then whatever is more that. And I think Jason presented that price before. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any questions?
I have a couple. I guess it's obvious we need to do something to solve this problem, probably sooner rather than later. But I guess a couple of questions I have is it worth looking at that force main to see if there's a blockage, or because that's something we can do fairly quickly. Not going to solve our problem.
It won't solve. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, it won't solve the problem. It's the cost for having somebody do a camera or clean out. It's probably going to be like $50,000 to $60,000 or more. So it depends. That will clean up the piping, and will maybe give you a little bit of time for existing current flows, but it might not solve the problem of the flooding. The pumps might be able to keep up a little bit, but the flows come in much higher when what those pumps can do, unless the operator starts operating both pumps at the same time. And that might be a solution, but it's not. I don't think it's going to solve the issue.
No, I agree. It's not going to solve the issue, but it may buy us some time.
Yeah.
That's my concern. I guess my next question is, I know we're really limited with space where the existing pumping station is. We also have some development further to the west of the existing development. It's proposed, but I think if we're going to put a new pumping station in, we really should be investigating the best location for that.
Yeah.
Moving it into that new development may give us a lot better sized piece of property to deal with that. Because that road is pretty crowded there.
Right.
I think at one time we didn't even own that road, but maybe we do not. So
I think it's partially owned by the CP rail. There's an old rail line in there as well. But there is some area next to it that you could possibly put in another pumping station right next to it and reuse the existing pumping station as a manhole. And this way it just moves on to the next one.
I guess that was my questions for now.
Anything further?
I-
Councilor Drexel?
Just a question, when the subdivision design, the engineering came in, I guess my question is, why wasn't the pumping station considered in the engineering process? Or is that, we're doing a design and we put a new, we've done everything to that point, and yet we don't have the calculation for the flow going to the plant. So I guess I'm struggling to understand why this whole thing wasn't calculated ahead of time, because that's usually in engineering, correct?
100%. We were not involved with the development. we were just told we have a problem with this pumping station and we just need to check what it is. Normally, yes, when you're doing a development, the site, you need to look into the pumping stations, all of them, the gravity sewer, the gravity systems, the manholes, the wastewater treatment plant itself is undersized for any new development to start with. Like that's only rated for a certain flow. Yeah, so whoever was doing the development, that's one of the things they had to look into, the capacity of the system. That's the first thing they look at, and then that's how they come up with what needs to be developed and how much can be added for houses. That's normally how it's done.
I have a question. We have an estimate. How soon could we go out to tender on this? Do we need to do any other work? We have an EA done, but not for a force main. Is there any other environmental work that would have to be done for us to proceed with a new force main?
With the force main, I don't think you need one because you're just replacing the existing force main, and which is part of the same EA for the pumping station and the wastewater treatment plant. I think it will be just a check with the Ministry of Environment. I think that's just a quick check for them.
And the second part of that, how soon could we tender this project?
So do you want to tender the project or tender the construction, the design part of it?
Everything.
It's up to you guys. How soon you need it. You can see,
We
you
did it
just
yesterday.
you need it
What-
yesterday?
What would be the time frame if we were to say we're going ahead with it? How long would it take?
To design and everything, and
Design and put out to tender?
to design it, it's most likely about a couple of months to do the pumping station itself and the force main. But I need subs to go and do surveys and geotechnical, so it all depends on their schedule as well. So if we do the design, I'm not sure if that report had an estimated schedule in it. I think it did. But between now and September, October, we might be able to go out to tender. I think what we estimated is we'll go out to tender in the next year. So the contracts will start fresh in the spring or June, sometime that time. So by the time you order stuff as well, things take a long time. Like a generator will take 30 to 40 weeks to deliver from shop drawings review. Pumps usually take about 16, 20 weeks. Force main is available. I think that's a quick turnaround. But design, 2 to 3 months for design, a month for tender, and then no one's going to do any work in winter, so it's going to happen. You're going to most likely go to tender in the spring, or even go to tender over winter, and then they start in the spring.
Okay. Sir Pembroke.
Yeah, so just a few questions too. You kind of touched on it, but I guess some clarification. Is there possibility to do some of this in stages? Or does the whole project essentially have to be completed all at once?
If you have the money for all of it, do it all. But if you're going to do staging it, if you put in a pumping station and not deal with the force main, you haven't really done anything. But if you do the force main, you have to reconnect it to the existing pumping station, which means you're going to have to do work on retrofitting that pumping station. That pumping station, I don't know, it's like when you buy a used house, you're starting to start working with it, you have to start addressing all the issues for it, that pumping station, which is all the safety issues. If you're gonna spend money on doing things on that that wet well, you might as well have spent it on that new, like I'm just saying, I'm not against it. It is possible. You can stage a force main, stage a pumping station. Maybe you don't need to put in the generator now. That's $500,000 by itself, the generator and the connection for it. The pumps, you can buy smaller pumps now and replace them 10, 15 years in the future. It's not a big saving, probably a few $1,000 savings there. But other than this, it's not a big project. It's really the pump station and the force main. You either do them both, or you can recommend doing the force main before you do the pumping station. But then you will have to connect that and do all the reconnection back.
Okay. So in the report that was shared with council, there's some graphs on there, and the one for pumping station 1, it shows a lot of spikes there that seem quite a bit higher than peak flow rates. Would the replacement of the pump station with flow meters on it help us determine where? I think we all believe we have an infiltration problem.
Yeah,
Would that help us determine where our infiltration problem's coming from?
it will help you know when they're coming. It won't help you know where they are until you do manhole inspections.
No, but it would tell us whether it's coming from
Yes.
pump 2, pump 3, or the
Oh,
gravity,
oh,
or
no,
how would that?
no, this pumping, the flow meter is only downstream of the pumping station. So we will tell you how much flow is going to the wastewater treatment plant. Right now, the treatment plant doesn't have any of that information. They don't even know how much flow is coming into them.
So then is there a way to put flow meters on
The other pumping
the
station.
other stations or the gravity to tell in a significant rain event?
You could do flow monitoring on manholes. So you have a company will come in, they'll take a few, maybe 1 or 2 different manhole locations. They'll put in a level sensor with flow meter on it, and they'll record for a few months. And then they'll like provide a report, and they'll tell you, yep, it's coming in. As soon as the rain is coming in, you've got a spike to 20 times the normal flow. That's way of doing it. The other one is if you want them at the pumping stations themselves, you have to look at what those other pumping stations have and see if we can add flow meters to them or not. I don't know. I don't know what those pump stations are.
Okay. Yeah, and I guess like your cost estimates, again, on the report that was provided to council, like, so I guess you've kind of already answered that too, so maybe, I don't know, like you're saying, like, is the generator, you have to have this, or is that something, again, that could be, a few years down the road, or
It's
is
a-
that an MECP?
No, it's not a requirement from the ministry. It's more of a risk to the community. You choose if you want to have that in there. Normally, if the pumping station is designed correctly and you have enough volume in there for emergency or for high flows or something, we design them for only 30 minutes at average flow. And most of the time when the problems happen, they'll happen when it's raining, when there's no power, and high flows coming in. So it just becomes a risk profile. You have to look at the risk at that point. Do you spend the $300,000 to $400,000 on the generator installed and have that pump turn on? Because if there's no power anywhere, there's no power at the wastewater treatment plant unless they have their own power. But at least in this wastewater treatment plant, the good thing about it is if you pump to it, it will overflow into the lagoon. Other places don't have lagoons, so they don't even want to see that. Then they'll have large backup power for the whole wastewater treatment plant. And I believe you purchased a new backup generator for that wastewater treatment plant recently.
Yeah,
I thought it was
we
installed.
did. I
You-
think
It's coming in,
it's
isn't it?
coming in, yeah.
Okay,
We didn't get the grant, but we put it in capital.
yeah. Yeah, so it's like I said, it's just for risk. You can put it in now, you can put it in later in the future as well.
And again, I guess you've already touched on this too. You've talked about possibility of smaller pumps or other things. Are there different types of pump chambers or things that you've proposed in here that may be more economical?
The wet well itself has to be we have to size the wet well based on the future flows. I don't know what the future flows until we start looking into the flows coming in. The wet well, I'm almost positive is going to be like a 3-meter diameter concrete manhole, 12 meters down, just to be able to get the flows out. It's the cheapest option just to buy the precast manhole versus cast in place. Cast in place would be millions of dollars on its own.
Right.
Right, so this one might be maybe about $1 million for that wet well on its own, just to install it. The pumps are really cheap. They're the cheapest thing you can get for this whole upgrade are those pumps. The pumps, the duplex pump with the control panel, probably like $120,000, $150,000, just to buy them from Flight or one of those other suppliers.
Right.
The force main is a kilometer force main, $300 to $400 a meter. That's usually the price, and then you have a connection price over there, and then there might be some dewatering that we have to deal with, all depending on geotechnical, and then the site work and the civil work. So like I estimated, it's around between 2.5 million, and I added a big contingency because I don't know what else is there to get up to that 3.5 million. So it's between 2.5 and 3 million, 3.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Tracy, you had a
Yeah.
question? Okay. Anything further from council? Well,
Just a quick comment to council, like there's a bit of urgency here and just wondering what our next step is so we can move this along. Because if we're looking at engineering and we're looking at, getting this whole project started and it's going to take us a year to get there, the longer we wait, the longer it's going to take. So I think we need to have some direction.
This has been on the front burner for the term of this council. And it's going to stay there, so we do have to deal with it. Where do we get the money? We're working on that. We should know this summer if there's any grant funding coming. And if not, we're going to have to find a way to borrow it. This is critical. It says that in the report. We have no choice. So we got to find a way. So that's the challenge in front of this council and staff. And I'm glad this is a public meeting. Everybody needs to know this. This is a very serious situation we've got. Is there anything further from council? If not, thank you, Bander. I'm sure we'll be talking quite often.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Okay. Okay, we have a time on our public meeting, so we're gonna hold to that. Number 8 on the agenda is correspondence. Item A is the Township of Otonabee South Monahan regulations for importation and safe use of lithium iron batteries. Anyone wish to comment on that one? See nothing. Resolution, please, Clerk Terry.
Moved by Pemberton, seconded by Drulard, that the council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich supports the letter from the township of Otonabee South Monahan calling upon all levels of government to enact regulations for the importation, sale, storage, and use of non-OWM or ULC certified lithium ion batteries, and that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to Rob Flack, MPP, Karen Vecchio, MP, and the township of Otonabee South Monahan. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you. Andrew, you're welcome to hang around, but it's, no, it's exciting stuff, but you may want to stay for it. Thank you. Item B, Township of Lake of Bays, request for royal assent of administrative monetary penalty system in the Ontario Building Code. Any comments on that one? Councillor Pemberton?
Oh, good. I was gonna ask if Councillor Pemberton would comment on it. I did quickly ask him when I came in what his
Yeah.
take was.
I've only done a little bit of research on this. I know City of St. Thomas is looking into it. Essentially, it's another tool in the toolbox when it comes to trying to achieve enforcement. We're seeing a lot more oppositional defiance instead of compliance recently. So this would just basically give building officials and municipalities to write bylaws that would allow their building official to write fines or penalties, however you want to call them, and you would be able to, instead of going through POA, you would be able to collect them directly through your typical tax system or whatever if they choose not to pay. I do like the idea. I think it's a slippery slope that people have to be careful of, that the fines don't get overly punitive. They're enough that they're corrective and not punitive. But I do like the idea of it, and I would support it. And, again, I think it's just a good tool in the toolbox if something can happen there.
Anything further from council? Resolution, please, Terry.
Moved by Drillard, seconded by Dreyfus, that the council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich supports the letter from Township of Lake of Bays requesting that the administrative monetary penalty system in the Ontario Building Code Act receive royal assent, and that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to Rob Flack, MPP, Karen Vecchio, MP, the Township of Lake of Bays, and the Township of Pushlands. All in favor? And that's carried.
The next one is Tay Valley Township Basic Income Guarantee. Any comments on that one?
Yeah, with the basic income guarantee, like this, to me, this is not rocket science. Not giving people a guarantee is just putting barriers in their way. Like people who would go out and work 40 hours a week that can't afford to work 40 hours a week because of the barriers in their way of working whatever they are. So whatever we can do to support people having a basic income, whether it's with the benefits, I think I would definitely support that so that we have people working and paying into our tax base. That's just my comment on that.
Any further comments from council? Resolution, please, Tara.
Moved by Dreyfus, seconded by Loveland, that the council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich supports the resolution from Tay Valley Township supporting the concept of a basic income guarantee for working age adults to help combat low income and economic vulnerability within communities, and collaboration on the design, introduction, implementation, and ongoing evaluation of a national basic income guarantee program for working age adults. And that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to Rob Flack, MPP, Karen Vecchio, MP, and Tay Valley Township. All in favor? And that's carried.
AMO, Advocate for Better Healthcare. Anyone wish to speak to that one? You've all read it in your package, so Clerk Tara, resolution, please.
Moved by Loveland, seconded by Drillard. Whereas the state of healthcare in Ontario is in crisis, with 2.3 million Ontarians lacking access to a family doctor, emergency room closures across the province, patients being de-rostered, and 40% of family doctors considering retirement over the next 5 years. And whereas it has become increasingly challenging to attract and retain an adequate healthcare workforce throughout the health sector across Ontario. And whereas the Northern Ontario School of Medicine University says communities in Northern Ontario are short 350 physicians, including more than 200 family doctors, and half of the physicians working in Northern Ontario expected to retire in the next 5 years. And whereas Ontario municipal governments play an integral role in the healthcare system through responsibilities in public health, long-term care, and paramedicine. And whereas the percentage of family physicians practicing comprehensive family medicine has declined from 77% in 2008 to 65% in 2022. And whereas a robust workforce developed through a provincial sector-wide health human resources strategy would significantly improve access to health services across the province. Now therefore it be resolved that the council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich urge the province of Ontario to recognize the physician shortage in Ontario, to fund healthcare appropriately, and ensure every Ontarian has access to physician care. And further, that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to Rob Flack, MPP, Karen Vecchio, MP, and AMO. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you.
I was trying to get her attention. Had their focus.
You want me to do the other one?
Yeah, go ahead.
Moved by Drillard, seconded by Pemberton, that relevant correspondence was reviewed. All in favor? And that's carried. Well, if you want to just do consent agenda, you have to pass it as one resolution. You don't have to go through everything. That we can go there.
Next item is our consent agenda. There's quite a list in front of you. Does anyone wish to speak to take the consent correspondence first? Any one of those items, Councillor?
Just item number 3, the Elgin Business Resource Center, the pitch. Just inform council that the Economic Development Committee has agreed to support the pitch process. And this year they've raised almost $50,000 to support a new business venture. And it's done through a business plan. It's a really good countywide initiative. So we're, as an Economic Development Committee, are supporting it. We have a few potential candidates to go through the process, so we're supporting it with $500. So the municipality of Dutton Dunwich will be recognized at that event as being a supporter. So.
Okay, thank you. I would ask a question on item 6. Oh, sorry. Item 5, the City of St. Catharines, the Green Roads Pilot Project, and they talk about bioresin using in, I think, in place of asphalt. And while we have Murray here, I just ask, have you ever heard of that, or? Okay. I certainly never heard about it, so. They want to get away from oil-based products is their pitch, I guess. But if you've never heard of it, and how accessible would something like that be?
I did go to a demonstration up in Don Eugenio at one point that I'm not sure what the product was. It was actually integrated with a gravel road. It created a hard surface once it was packed, and it had some traffic on it, which was rather expensive at the time, but I don't know what the basis of that product was at all.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments on any of those items from council? Okay, let's move on to the committee reports. Any comments, questions from council? There's 11 listed on that. See none, and we're on to the staff monthly reports. The manager of roads and facilities, water operations, wastewater operator monthly report, monthly building activity report, the fire chief's monthly report, drainage superintendent monthly report, recreation monthly activity report, the planning monthly report, clerk monthly report, and the CEO treasurer monthly activity report. Any questions or comments from council? See none. Clerk Tara, please.
Moved by Pemberton, seconded by Dreyfus, that the items on the consent agenda be approved. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you. With council's permission, I'm going to just juggle around. We've got Murray with us here, and I think he's here to speak to item 11, other staff reports. And under A is the intersection of Lyons Street, Thistle Street, and Beaubeer Lane. We received your report. Murray, are there any questions the council would have at this time? Any comments you wish to make on that one, Murray?
Well, it's kind of nice to see our Lions Club members sitting behind me, because it does affect them in a way too. We are looking at possibly a new building being built in there, which is going to increase traffic. We have the daycare right on the corner, and I've had some residents come forward with concerns regarding that intersection. It does currently have a stop sign on Beaubeer Lane, but the geometry of the intersection, it's kind of an offset. Pardon me. It's kind of an offset. My belief is a 3-way stop, clearly marked with 3-way stop, would improve the safety in that area, because we haven't had an accident there to my knowledge. We've had some near misses apparently. I don't want to have one if we can help it.
Okay. Anything from council on that one? Thank you, Mern. Are you here for any other reports?
I keep writing on it, doesn't.
Okay, thank you, Murray.
Moved by Pemberton, seconded by Drewlard, that the council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the manager of roads and facilities titled Intersection of Lion Street, Thistle Street, and Bobier Lane, dated July 17th, 2024, for information, and that council instructs staff to bring back a bylaw to make the intersection a three-way stop and instruct staff to install applicable signage. All in favor? And that's carried.
Let's just finish the other staff reports. We have a,
Jeff's coming.
oh, is he?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
He's not here yet.
All right, we'll backtrack to the item 10. CEO Treasurer Report, June 30th, 2024 financial report.
This is just your Q2 financial report. Is there any questions? There's the operating, the balance sheet, and the cash flow. If there's any questions on any of those? Right now, it looks like we have a $635,000 surplus, but that's not gonna hold up for too long, so. Because as you know, the budgets are split between 12, but yeah, they're not evenly split. So, if there's any questions, be glad to answer.
Any questions from? Okay, that was easy. Sarah, please.
Moved by Dreyfus, seconded by Loveland, that the council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the CAO treasurer titled June 30th, 2024, financial report dated July 17th, 2024 for information. All in favor? And that's carried.
Okay, and item B is the 2024 water and sewer operating budgets.
Mayor Hens, yeah, so when we were doing the tax levy operating budget, we didn't present the water or sewer because we were in negotiations with AUK. We weren't sure where things were gonna end up. So this is just the water and sewer brought in now with the Aqua 4 months for this year. So nothing out of the ordinary. The budget stayed pretty much the same. We did approve the water rate increase when we did the fees, so that is reflective in these revenues. So if there's any questions.
No questions on either one, the water and wastewater? Okay, Dr. Tara, please.
Moved by Loveland, seconded by Pemberton, that the council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the CAO treasurer titled 2024 utility operating budgets dated July 17th, 2024 for information, and that council approves the 2024 water and sewer operating budgets as presented with this report. All in favor? And that's carried.
Okay, I'm going to leave the other items in staff reports
You do the unfinished business.
because Chief MacArthur was going to attend to speak to
Oh,
them.
he's just parked.
Okay.
He'll be right in.
Well, it's unfinished business. Is there any unfinished
Yeah,
business?
that would be my, yeah, through you, Mayor Hens. As council knows, you approved the sale of the Dymock line. Since then, the gentleman has found out that there's going to be quite a bit of a hydro expense, and West Elgin's charging quite a bit to attach to the water. So he came back with a lower offer, and I countered, and we've agreed on 135,000. So if council is okay with that, we will go ahead and waive that condition on the sale and get that finalized. So if there's any questions.
I think part of the agreement was council approval, so
Yep.
we'll
Yeah.
do that
Yeah.
tonight.
Yep. So
Very good.
okay. Thanks.
It's unfinished business. So anyway, thank you for getting that done. That was a challenging one. I see somebody smirking in the background, but thank you, Tracy, and Mike for getting this thing done. Item 14, new business. Is there any new business? I see none. And announcements. I have one, and I think Councillor Drulard is probably well aware of that. The fundraiser for Terrace Lodge. And I just wanted everybody to be aware of it. I'll send this around if you haven't seen it. It looks like a fun evening, but it is costly. So I'd be willing to participate. The first team from each municipality is $3,000. And you can have up to 6 members on a team. So any way you slice it, my math says that's $500 a piece. Anyway, it's out there. I'll send that around.
Oh, that's okay. I forgot you had the code. That's why I said.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah. Did you want me to?
Oh, yes.
I've seen it. I just wanted to I just wanted to let staff know that we have a girl 2 days a week, a summer student helping us out. Since we've lost Katie, she's just here. She's helping with asset management when she can't, or any of the office stuff. Because I don't have Katie at full salary right now, so I had room to slide her in there a couple days a week, just as a body here helping with, she's really helping Lori out with the asset management right now, and she was helping Star clean up the AP stuff that got left, and we've got a new system going with the scanning and everything with the AP, so she's helping with that. So just wanted to give you a heads up that there is somebody here Mondays and Tuesdays, so yeah, so anyways.
Okay, good stuff. Councillor Driller, did you have a comment?
Oh, I just, I had forgotten when we were doing, earlier, but the cenotaph, I noticed that they have broken ground and are starting to work on that, so that's good news.
I had an invite from Blair. They poured concrete this morning. So it's underway. Okay, any other announcements? Councillor
Getting
Driller.
back to the Terrace Lodge fundraiser, where are you at? And do you have any idea where the fundraising is at?
Right.
Okay, let's back up to the staff reports. Chief MacArthur, are you ready to go?
Yes.
Okay. The item B was end of life equipment. And everybody received your report. Is there anything further you wish to add to that?
No, thanks, your worship and council. No, just kind of formalizing, I think, what has probably been maybe common practice. And I checked with Tara, apologies if something's been brought to council in the past on that, but just wanted to make sure that the council was supportive of doing that. So
Any questions from council? Resolution, please. Tara.
Moved by Drulard, seconded by Dreyfus, that the council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the fire chief titled End of Life Equipment dated July 17th, 2024 for information, and that council approves the donation of equipment that has reached its end of life cycle and is no longer usable to the Dutton Dunwich Fire Department. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you. And item C is the surplus pumper.
sure, thank you again, Mayor and Council. Yeah, as the report lines out, as council is aware that the new tanker is scheduled to actually be delivered mid-August is when I think the 19th is when they've proposed that we come out for a final inspection and bring it home with us. So that may turn into late August, but anyways, it's within the next 6 weeks, I'd say comfortably, which is good news. So I don't know exactly what's been done. I believe Gov Deals has been utilized in the past here in Dutton Dunwich. So just a suggestion that recommendation that council declares the old pumper for surplus and that we can sell it. I would recommend through Gov Deals.
And it has basically been out of service for some time now.
It has since we discovered or the service provider discovered the crack in the tank back in annual pump testing. I think that was in the spring. I just forget. We drained it, so it's been available for kind of personnel or equipment use. But honestly, I don't believe it's maybe even left the hall since that. So it's basically it's more or less surplus as it sits today, I would say. So.
Okay. Thank you. Clerk Tara, please.
Moved by Dreyfus, seconded by Loveland, that the council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report from the fire chief titled Surplus Pumper dated July 17th, 2024 for information, and that council declares Pumper 4 surplus and authorize staff to list it for sale by means of an online auction. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you. And item D is the 2023 incident summary, which council has seen.
Great, and happy to answer any questions on this report. Just kind of a snapshot of the incidents for last year. You'll see up significantly from the couple years previous. Excuse me, previous to that. One thing that isn't mentioned on mentioned on here is the dollars saved. Didn't have that figure available for this report, but there's significant dollars also saved by the firefighters throughout the year. Typically in a structure fire, whatever it may be. So the loss is there, which is quite reasonably low considering what it could be. So yeah, thanks to the firefighters for a busy year in 2023.
Okay. Thank you. Council, any questions or comments? Clerk Tara, please.
Moved by Loveland, seconded by Pemberton, that the council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the fire chief titled 2023 Incident Summary dated July 17th, 2024 for information. All in favor? And that's carried.
Okay. Thank you, Chief MacArthur. We can't proceed with anything that you have in your department till 5:15. Okay.
Second report,
We
site
can-
plan control information report.
Okay, you can go ahead with that,
Yeah, I can
Okay.
do that.
please.
Great, thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor and members of council. So the report that I'll be presenting is the site plan control application update for 3 Lions Road, which is the Dutton and District Lions Nonprofit Housing Incorporated. So the report does have a direction and a recommendation. We are looking for some direction from council on the wastewater capacity prior to the execution of the site plan control agreement. Let me kind of step back a little bit. So site plan control application was submitted and pre-application was completed. The proposal is for a 3-story, 33-unit retirement facility. 38 parking spaces are proposed, including a loading space. Access is from Lions Road. The property will be serviced by municipal water and sewer. And there's a stormwater management facility that will be provided on lands that will be conveyed or has been conveyed by the County of Elgin. And then there is a drain that crosses the subject property. The consent application to sever off the lot from the existing retirement home has been completed. The zoning bylaw amendment application has been approved by council with some relief. That appeal period has since lapsed. And at the time of the zoning bylaw amendment public meeting, council had requested that administration come forward with an information report when we were getting closer to site plan control. So with respect to the site plan control application, that has been submitted. Comments have been reviewed. It's been circulated through all the departments, and then revisions were resubmitted. Now we are in a position that we have deemed the application complete. And we are now in the process of drafting the site plan control agreement. And the Planning Act and your Dutton Dunwich bylaw does delegate the approval authority to the CAO treasurer as part of processing applications quicker. So again, this is just an information report. And again, section 41 of the Planning Act is a tool in your toolbox that is used for site plan control. It's a technical review. So the staff has had an opportunity to take a look at signage and curbs and lot grading. There has been all the support studies that have been submitted, like traffic impact study, photometrics, landscaping plan, and a revised site plan. The revised site plan does show some fencing and some landscaping along the abutting lands that have residential. With respect to this, the drafting of the site plan control agreement, it has a lot of standard clauses like securities, insurance, parkland fees. The items that I want to bring to your attention is that the applicant is going to be required to plant additional rows of trees along that property line that abuts residential. There are some current trees that may need to be removed, but they will replant some. A fence is to be constructed along that property line as well. The stormwater management facility to be constructed to the satisfaction of the support studies, that the lands from the county of Elgin be merged with the existing lands, the fire route be provided, that all lighting plans be implemented, which means that no lighting is to bleed on abutting properties, and that the Drainage Act requirements are to be completed with respect to that drain along that property. So now regarding wastewater capacity, administration has informed council that there is concerns, and through the presentation today with Dylan, that confirmed that you do have some challenges. On behalf, so while council is looking for solutions, in the meantime, we do need direction from council on how to proceed with this particular development, if it should proceed. The direction should be given direction should be given to staff to help clarify if you're able to allow this to proceed now, or if you want this to be held off in a way until you are more comfortable with your capacity. So the draft wording in the agreement right now states that the wastewater capacity has to be confirmed prior to the issuance of a building permit. So that's the trigger that we are putting before you. Your other options is that you can proceed as is and not put any clauses in there. So with that, the next step is to finalize that site plan control agreement and we will include this direction that we get this evening from council. After the agreement is executed and registered on title and securities paid, then they're ready for a building permit and they can start with construction. We have representatives here this evening as well to help answer any particular questions you might have. And I'll be happy to answer any questions as well.
Okay, thank you for that report. Council, any questions? Deputy Mayor Loveland.
Not so much a question, just a statement. I would be very comfortable if we didn't approve this and let it go ahead. We all knew it was coming, and I know that we do have some issues that we're working on, but the effluent from a development like this isn't nearly as great as some people might think because of the type of people that live there. I did get that capacity, water capacity for the last couple of years for both Caledonia 1 and Caledonia 2, and considerably different, mind you, but the Caledonia 2 water consumption is probably not more than 5 or 6 houses. So that's kind of my feeling. I think I'm ready to go ahead and approve it.
And Councilor Pemberton.
Yeah, I guess wastewater capacity, so I have a sort of a little bit of an off-topic question. You commented that there'd be fencing requirements. Does it dictate in the site plan agreement what type of fence will be installed? Or is it just say a fence? Because I think that's different.
Yes, the wording is that it'd be a privacy fence.
Privacy
Board
fence.
on board.
And then, yeah, I guess I agree with Deputy Mayor Loveland that, you know, we all kind of knew this was coming and the effluent levels from that are fairly low. I know we're in a bit of a bind with our capacity, but the bit more that it's going to provide isn't that much. And I think this would be an easier conversation if we knew what kind of funding we would be getting or hope to be getting, but they haven't made their announcements on that yet. So, yeah, I guess that's just my opinion at this time.
Counselor Dreyfus.
Question, when is the proposed development to start construction?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Perhaps I could ask the representatives to answer that question.
Duncan, Peter, step up, please. That's a very good. I'm not welcome to get out there.
You are, but we don't want.
No, that's not, but, okay. So there actually, we're hoping to go to CMHC, the mortgage company, in a couple, 3 weeks, as soon as we get the final figures. Go that, and usually 4 to 6 weeks after that to get approval, and after that. So then after that, we go tendering. We got a general contractor hired already, so we could be, I doubt we'll be this fall, but it could be next spring, quite easy.
So your assumed construction start would be next spring for completion.
Completion will be about 14 months after construction.
So when you look at the timeline, there's a possibility we could be a long ways on our wastewater. Like judging it based on what we
Even
heard.
we start, let's say we start in October, it'd be end of 25 before full capacity, if you want to even have full capacity by the end of 25.
Yeah, so I guess my viewpoint is if construction start is later than sooner, then I'm more comfortable, but I think we are at risk if we are going to be done before our wastewater. I just don't want to have any more basements flooded. That's my concern. But if looking at your timeline, I think it's plausible that we could get it. This could work for us.
We can't hold off too long because of the St. Thomas housing. We got to have stuff going.
Yeah.
To get that 510,000 we're getting from them. We got their commitment. They gotta get that done by the end of March of 31st for their budget
No.
and
Okay.
that. So we can't hold out. Like if we hold out, then we gotta go start raising another 510,000 somewhere.
Okay. No, I'm in favor of moving forward, just judging on the timeline of construction. So.
Counselor Pembroke.
Yeah, so I guess there may be one other thing we could possibly look at, and maybe Tracy, you can comment on this too. You know, is there a way to either limit occupancy to a certain number of units within the site plan agreement, or limit occupancy until, so that they can get building and stuff like that, but then, you know, it gives us a chance to have.
That's fine, Danny. You're gonna help us with the mortgage.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Will it, if you guys get going on it, right?
It's like everything else, for a nonprofit.
Right.
So we haven't got much room to play on the money. So, yeah, we can hold off for occupancy. But we're coming to you and say, hey, you want us to hold off, fine. But if we're losing tens of thousands per month because you hold off on the rent, we gotta pay CMHC
Right.
and that. So like,
So that's not an option then.
unless you guys are gonna help us, yeah.
Well, we need $4 million to operate our sewer, so it works both ways, right?
Like there's a demand for this. No,
Absolutely.
in that, like, I mean, what are we up to for capacity for on the waiting list?
188 applications.
Down to 28 IGI? So, you know,
Yeah.
we're crowding 200 people wanting.
Oh, no, I absolutely agree that there's a need for this, and I want to see it move forward, but again, there are concerns with wastewater and where it's gonna go and who it's gonna back up to, and
Like, I know where you're coming from. Or if you're anything like Cal two, it's 30 units, this one's gonna be 33 units.
Yeah, it's pretty low.
Yeah, like, pretty well saying, and like Ken said, the volume of water these guys use is minimal.
Okay. No, that's good. That answered my question.
No,
Councillor
I-
Wheeler.
Thanks. So, Mayor Hans. Just to clarify, follow up on what Henry was saying, you said, perhaps start in spring and it would be 14 months out. Well, we're talking into 2026 then, before you're coming online.
that's the latest. I'm hoping this,
The end of 2020, what your hope is for the end of 2025, but if we're looking at your timeline, it looks like 2026.
no, you're right.
With those dates, so that,
It's definitely-
that
yeah.
gives me a little bit of a level of comfort because that gives us some buffer room to make sure that we've got things in place, so, yeah.
And
And
they all
again,
can-
it's, and again, 6 or 7 houses, this, like, the same output as 6 or 7 houses for that whole apartment and the need, you kind of balance that too, so.
like I know where you guys are coming from, and yes, but if we want to get the financing from the rest of the government and that, we got, like, when the opportunity comes, we can start building, we gotta go in that, and, you know, we've been trying, started working on this since 2018.
Okay, thank you. I think council's got to wrestle with this. We're sitting here waiting for funding. That may or may not come. We got to deal with this anyway. We have to deal with this anyway. We have to find a way to do it. So we hope the province steps up, but we just don't know. But the problem has to get solved regardless. Okay.
So if we can go in September, October, are we good to go?
If we approve the site plan
Yeah.
this evening, yes. Correct?
You want back in here?
Anything further? Any comments from Peter? None?
So there was a question about a privacy fence. The adjacent property owner has already installed it. So we have to do about 20 feet more into the next property, but the majority of it's up already, and it is a 8-foot privacy fence.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Clerk Terry, are you prepared with a resolution? I know you didn't quite have it written yet.
Yes, I think I have the direction of council, but if you guys want to vote to amend it, that will be fine. Moved by Drulard, seconded by Dreyfus, that the council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the planner titled Site Plan Control Application SPA 1/23 Update. 3 Lions Road, Dutton and District Lions Nonprofit Housing Incorporated, dated July 17th, 2024 for information. And that council directs staff to proceed with the site plan control agreement. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you. And I'm going to ask council for a 5-minute break, mostly because it's raining and my truck windows are open.
All right, moved by Pemberton, seconded by Dreyfus, that the public meeting for the zoning bylaw amendment application ZBA 1/23 filed by the municipality of Dutton Dunwich for proposed housekeeping opens at 5:18 PM. All in favor? And that's carried. As set out in the Planning Act, notice appeared in the local newspaper and municipal website on June 27th, 2024, and notices were emailed to commenting agencies on June 26th, 2024.
Thank you very much. So this is a public meeting for some housekeeping amendments that just help administration implement the regulations and provide more clarity. No decision is being made this evening. Administration will come back with another report. We'll summarize any comments that we've received this evening and any comments that receive through correspondence. And then at your next council meeting, you'll have an opportunity to consider the approval, and then there's an appeal period. So overall, the housekeeping amendments are considered relatively minor. Advertisements did get sent onto our website, the local newspaper, because it's a municipally wide initiative. Property owners are not notified. So it's mainly about trying to get the word out as much as possible. So the highlights that I wanted to mention, and you've already seen some red lines of this previously when I brought it to you back in October. But there's a new parking requirement for apartments. That was something that didn't occur. We didn't have. It's 1.5 parking spaces per dwelling unit, which is sort of a standard requirement. And we put this in anticipation that we might start getting more multiple dwellings as infilling and intensification opportunities. We've clarified additional residential units. If you recall, administration was struggling with the size of the accessory structure. The Planning Act has since changed as well, and essentially says that every urban parcel of land, you have 3 units as of right. So you can have any combination, either 2 in the main and 1 in accessory, or 3 in the main. So we're clear on that. They're not considered accessory, so you can have 3 equal parts. So we've clarified that we don't need to have a percentage in the urban area, but in the rural area and in the urban area, when there are accessory structures, we want to be able to make sure that they're still accessory. So you don't build an ADU that's bigger than the main or the primary dwelling. So working with the CBO, we've played around with a couple different variations of lot coverage interrelation, and we ended up landing on we'll just leave it to gross floor area again. That seems to be the easiest to be able to control that regulation. We've modified some ways of interpreting semi-detached dwellings and row houses. So right now, it's sort of a 3-step process. In order to get a semi on a lot, you have to build it first, then find the common wall. Then you go in and have a surveyor and survey the common wall, and then they can be severed off into 2. So it's sort of step by step, but we need zoning regulations for when it's just 2 units on 1 lot. And then when we sever it, it's 1 unit on each lot. So that's hopefully going to clarify that at the time of the building permit stage. And we've added clinics. We're starting to get a little bit more inquiry. I think as the population grows, we're seeing some more personal services, some clinics, and personal care uses. And we've added that into the general commercial and the village commercial that they just weren't there previously. And then a lot of it is just a lot of little wordsmithing. So we did not get any comments from the general public or from departments, and there was nothing other than a standard response from Bill Canada. So administration is just putting this forward for review. And again, no decision being made. We'll come back and we'll summarize comments for you before you consider your final approval. So happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you for that report, Tracy. Clerk Tara, have you received any comments from staff?
Yes, and they're summarized in the planner's report,
Did you receive any written submissions on this application?
and they're summarized in the planner's report.
Before I open the floor to questions from the public, please be advised if any person from the public wishes to receive further information on the action of council regarding the passing of a bylaw on the proposed amendment, please ensure that they leave their name, address, and postal code with the clerk prior to leaving the meeting. We don't have anybody joining us virtually or in the gallery. Okay. Do council members or any member of the public have any questions? Councillor Pemberton.
Yeah, and nothing specifically with the amendments as they're proposed. I think they're fine. I'm just curious if there's, and only because we're experiencing it in both West Elgin and South Wold, when you have a house that is essentially a semi, but they're calling it a primary and an ADU. Because there's no real restriction on size when it's inside of the dwelling. So I find there's people essentially in an R1, for example, that allows a single family dwelling, building semis and calling them primary with an ADU. Obviously, they can't sever them unless they go through the planning process, but it's not really just fishing for information. Have you had any thought on that, or is there, yeah, just thoughts, comments?
So what the trend is or the worry is that someone's going to purchase a property that is single family detached dwelling, demolish it, put a semi, sever it at the common wall, and then put ADUs in each. So now all of a sudden, in an established neighborhood, you have 6 units. Because the province has now said 3 units as of right on urban parcel of land. So that is a new definition as well. And an urban parcel land is defined as anything with full municipal services, sewer and water. So we will and most likely see that. But the key is that they have to come in and do that sort of 2-step process where they have to sever it along the property.
Yeah, I guess my point more to that was just they're doing it originally in a zone that it's not permitted to be a semi. So you're doing it in an R1 zone and hoping down the road they could convert it to I think yours is an R3 that allows semis.
So the province has said ADUs are permitted in anywhere
Right.
that single semis and townhouses are permitted. So you could even get, if you had a townhouse where there are 3 units and you come and sever it off on the common wall, now you're looking at 9 units or possibly 12 units. And the province has taken away parking requirements. You can't ask for parking for the 3rd unit anymore, just for the primary and then for the secondary. And they've taken away the, I make sure I said this right, the minimum size.
Correct.
Because they're relying on the Ontario Building
It still
Code.
has minimum sizes through building code.
We could put maximum sizes, or maximum gross floor areas for each unit. That is another tool, but, yeah.
I just wondered if there's any thought to the maximum floor area in urban settings on interior.
No, we haven't,
units.
we haven't built that in yet.
No.
It's just, we're gonna rely on the lot coverage, of whatever zone it's in.
Okay.
Anything further from council?
I thought the rest of it.
Nothing further? If there are no further questions, please be advised that any person wishing further information on the actions of council regarding the passing of a bylaw on the proposed amendment should leave their name, address, and postal code with the clerk prior to leaving the meeting. If you're not the applicant, you should request a copy of the decision since it may be appealed to the Ontario Line Tribunal by the applicant. That's redundant here. Another member of the public. Nothing further? This public meeting is now concluded.
Moved by Pemberton, seconded by Drewler, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the planner titled Zoning Bylaw Amendment ZBA 1/23 Proposed Housekeeping Municipality of Dutton Dunwich dated July 17th, 2024 for information. All in favor? And that's carried. Moved by Loveland, seconded by Drewler, that the public meeting for the zoning bylaw amendment application ZBA 1/23 filed by the municipality of Dutton Dunwich for proposed housekeeping closes at 5:28 PM. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you, Tracy. I'm surprised we didn't have the gallery full and joining us virtually for this exciting stuff. It's good to see you in person, not just a picture on the screen. Take care. Okay, on to 16. Proposed bylaws. 2024-34 agreement with Aqua for water operation and maintenance services. Everybody received the agreement. So I think we can move right on to the resolution.
Moved by Dreyfus, seconded by Loveland, that bylaw 2024-34 being a bylaw to authorize execution of an agreement between the Corporation of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich and the Ontario Clean Water Agency for water operation and maintenance services be read a first, second, and third time and passed. All in favor? And that's carried.
Okay. We are ready for closed.
Mr. Mayor, before we go to close, could we kind of go back to the Dillon report and talk a bit? And we really didn't really finalize that. Are we just waiting the grant, or what are we doing with that?
I guess we could have a discussion on that. Clerk Tara? Sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Okay.
I guess I kind of want to bring up the previous report as well as the starter. I think that's a valid report that they've done. That I think Tracy gave us a copy of that last meeting. But I think we need to go back and correct a couple things in there. There's they don't have the Caledonia, the Caledonia 2 in there. They don't have that area where the ambulance is as well. Oh, sorry. And then I don't think they've made the changes in the pumping station number 3 at the fire hall. So what's happened, some of those lines that are shown in that report as being overrated maybe aren't, but some of the ones that are shown as being fine maybe are overrated. So I think for future council's use, it'd be good to go back and finish that report up and get it clarified.
So part of the asset management plan and getting it all in citywide is getting the proper site, proper pipe sizes and ages and everything. And I don't think we're even looking at touching anything existing right now. It's just a decision on if we want to go ahead with just the force main or if we want to go ahead with the pump and hope that gets us through.
Yeah, I understand
Yeah,
that, but I just think that report's sitting there. And if we don't finish it and right, it's gonna get, next time we do a road, we're gonna pull that off the shelf and say, oh, we
Right.
need to up the sewer
Right.
price. Or we, oh, no, it's
Right.
fine, and maybe it needs to be up.
Yeah.
So that's all I think, the report is so close to being finished. I'd like to get it finished so that it's.
So, yep, so I
good-
can ask them to finish that up.
information.
Yep, for sure. Because we need it anyways for the asset management.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
so, yeah.
Are there things in that report that aren't correct, Ken? Is that what you're
Well,
getting at?
Yeah, I think when he was here, I remember we talked about the pumping station at the fire hall.
Yeah.
That's pumping station number 3. And I think that's some of our problems down here as well, but so that took the flow out of Curry and McIntyre and this pumping station and pushed it out John Street. So all I'm saying is, I think we need to take a look at John Street and Center Street. They may be undersized. And the first section of Curry and McIntyre may be fine now. So I just think, well, it's fresh in our mind. We should finish that. So it's a good document to pull off the shelf if we need to look at roads.
Okay, is Jason aware of that, of these issues?
I'll talk to him.
Okay. And I think, Ken, you've been here a while, maybe,
If he wants to talk to me about it.
yeah, you could add some insight to that.
Man, we can talk together, whatever you want to do.
Okay, well, let's get it right.
Yeah.
We paid for it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Especially if we're gonna do Center Street.
yeah,
Yeah, that's right. And it's good information to have. You have to also remember that is not actual flows, it's design, but it's still good stuff to have.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I guess going back to that report today, I mean, I realize there's a problem. We have to deal with it. I think some of our problem, when you look at that chart in the report that we had previously, still is surface water getting in. And we really, we've gone through all the mains, but it didn't really resolve anything. So there's still some water getting in there somewhere. And when you look at schedule, that
graph right
yeah, that graph right here, I mean, you can see the real peaks, and they're the ones that are above our capacity. So I don't know what we do with that. I don't know.
I thought they explained those peaks were when it backed up during rain and it couldn't go anywhere. And then it made its way through and I thought that's what they said where those peaks were, but I could be wrong.
I think so, but it still
Yeah.
goes back to we're still
Yeah.
getting surface water.
Because they said there was no indication of I&I when they CCTV'd for us, so
Yeah.
that our pipes and everything looked quite good, so.
Yeah, the pipes look good, but we still could be getting it out of, like if people got the sump pump hooked in.
Yeah, but
You're not gonna see that in
And
that
that's-
study he's done, and I don't know how you do
yeah,
that.
well, we tried those smoke tests, but those don't really prove anything.
Not,
So
yeah, we didn't do the whole town, we just did.
You could, but it won't.
Yeah.
I don't know how you prove, like how you.
I don't know how you prove it either, maybe there is a way,
Like
but
you could put a flow meter on the manhole,
Yeah, that's.
the gravity, and that would tell you if you had I&I in the gravity. I don't know how you'd tell from the pumps. Cause I did talk to the engineer in Southwold a little bit about this, just to try and help me get my head wrapped around it. And that was one of his thoughts too, was you can't, if it's coming from a pump, you have no idea. You have to go from the gravity, whatever gravity's coming in. So if you put flow meters, and there are flow meters, you can have companies come up and set up flow meters in the gravity sewers or in the manholes. And you would be able to tell in a rain event where your extra flows are coming from. So you would have to put a flow meter, and we had to do it in Southwold. And we did find, and now hopefully, this might resolve a little bit of itself if it was coming from Leach Street, because we found 80% of our I&I was coming from open basements during construction. So there was a major portion of that coming from that. Construction slowed down a little bit. I don't think there's any open basements over on Leach Street or in Russ's subdivision right now. So it'd be interesting to see if that has a correlation right now to our increased rates or not. But yeah, we did find a lot of our I&I was coming from open basements.
okay.
and I guess going back to the Dillon report today, I mean, are we gonna wait? Are we doing anything or just sit and wait until we get grant, or do we wanna?
I don't think we can. I think we got a plan.
Yeah.
Both ways.
Yeah, I agree, we have to plan, and I really think we need to be looking at the system overall and where that new pumping station should go. And if we have to move it a little bit, it may make it easier.
Then what do we own out that way?
We don't own anything, but we're gonna own some roads there. And I'm sure you could get a piece off Sandy. He's gonna need to hook into that pumping station as well, so. It's just really crowded there, where it is.
Yeah, do we have much property over there where the current pumping station is? Because it was originally intended, so it's like from what. the
Yeah, I don't
reports
know
have
that we
said,
actually even have any more room over there.
It's really like the
Yeah.
roads
it's right
moved
there.
to the side of the road allowance. It's really close.
Who would be tasked with looking at that? What do we own out there and is it
We
even
have
feasible?
to get Dylan to give us, come and do a little more investigating and,
We should be able to tell them what we own here.
well, we can find out what we
Yeah.
own, but see which side works better, because he was saying something about using this one for
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
water pit or something and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
building beside it, so
Yeah, being
whatever
beside-
ends up being the cheapest route, I think, is what, the way we need to go.
Yeah.
But what I would want to know is if we leave pump one where it is that, are we still gonna need another one or Sandy's new developed? Like, if we do, maybe it's best moving out there and I don't know. I think there's a few
Yeah.
things that gotta fall in line.
Yeah.
before we make a decision.
And that's what I'm saying too.
Yeah, yeah.
I think we could start doing that regardless of whether we get grant or not. At least we've done some of the homework. So if the grant comes, we can maybe speed it up a little bit.
Or at least know what direction.
Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
And I don't, he did in his first report mention something about coming out and doing an actual flow check on what the pumps were putting out there. And I think that's probably valid to have that too, because if, I mean, that's some of the issues we have there is that was all designed according to the approvals we got to have, 20, 22 or whatever, 21 liters per second. And those pumps, if they only pumping half of that, that's some of our problem. Not all of it, but it's some of it, so. But it does need to be replaced, that pumping station, there's no way around that, but if we could put it off until we get grant, it'd be good too, but we need to do something.
Is that the original force main?
That's the original force main.
So it's over 40 years old?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And look at what's happened to Dutton. I'm not surprised if we're,
No, force mains, and I can understand like you can't, because there's no manholes or anything in them. So it's a kilometer of main, I don't know if you could blow a pig through them or not. I really don't know.
but I think we have to set the wheels in motion, funding
I
or
agree.
not. It's something we got to tackle.
Have we heard anything at all from the, nothing, no, like,
This summer.
no additional feedback required or anything, or no?
And Tracy, they don't give you a timeline on that. It just,
They just
they
said summer.
announce when they announce.
Said summer.
Summer.
So it could be September 19th.
Yeah.
Still
Right,
summer.
yeah, September 20th, whatever. And the other piece,
It just said summer.
the other piece I had to ask on that is, we need to, I fully understand we need to act. Will that won't have any effect on it, just, if we get funding, it'll speed us up, is that correct?
If we have to get funding it, we're gonna have to borrow anyways, because they're only paying for 73% of it.
Right.
So if we already start the wheels in motion of getting borrowing something, that can be just our portion of what we have to put if we get the grant, right? So,
All right.
yeah,
Yeah.
because we are obligated to pay 11 million or something, right? If we get the full and did the whole kit and caboodle.
Mm-hmm,
Now, we did put the force main in there
okay.
because it's part of our problem. Like it's not just our growth, it's getting it there, right? So, but at the end of the day, we're gonna have to borrow anyway. So if we start the process and we've already borrowed 4 million, well, then we just have to look for 7 million more or whatever it comes out to, right? So.
Yeah, my best friend's an environmental and civil engineer. I was asking her questions about this, so she's like, you need to do something.
But I think if we have to borrow 4 million, then how do you pay for that? Well, you pay for that with development and connection charges and all of them things, which I think if we get our house in order, things will pick up again. I'm convinced of that. If interest rates take one little, away we go again. So we have to do this.
Well, I think we have to do it for our current residents.
Well,
because
exactly.
A flooded basement is not nice, especially when it's sewer.
Yeah, and we,
Yeah.
and so do we have a clear direction on what staff is going to do going forward? I want to be sure that Tracy
Yeah.
knows what we're asking of her.
So I'll reach out to Jason. He's on holidays this week. That's why he didn't come. So I'll reach out to him and I'll talk to him about finishing up that report and seeing about the flow meters, about our other pumps. And then we'll also reach out and we'll walk through the two areas, which option is cheaper, moving the pumping station or keeping the same, whether that keeping it same is going to help the new development. We've got a few things that we would need to get in order and then design it, so. But as long as they have,
Even if it's not cheaper to put it out on that property.
does
that
it
makes
make more sense?
in the
Yes,
long-
yeah, that's what I mean, if
We need
this,
to know
yeah,
that as well. right?
if it's not gonna, if leaving it there is not gonna help the new development, then it doesn't, then maybe we need to just, maybe need just a booster to pump it from that one to the new one or something, but at least we can tell Dylan, you guys are on board. We need to come up with a plan and then go from there, because you guys all know what's involved and what they're gonna come back with, so. Yeah,
Thanks, appreciate that.
We haven't spent the money yet, but be prepared. Okay, is that good? Everybody's?
Yep.
All right. Clerk Tara, please.
Moved by Loveland, seconded by Pemberton, that the council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich now moves into a session of the meeting that shall be closed to the public at 5:44 PM in accordance with section 2392 of the Municipal Act, SO 2001, Chapter 25, for discussion of the following matters. A, labor relations or employee negotiations, section 2392D of the Municipal Act for the Medical Center. All in favor? And that's carried. Yep. Moved by Drulard, seconded by Dreyfus, that bylaw 2024-35 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the municipal council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich be read a first, second, and third time and passed. All in favor? And that's carried.
Okay, we have one meeting in August at 4:00.
I will be joining you virtually for that meeting.
Okay. And August 14th.
From PEI? Yes.
Cool. Nice.
September 11th, then Tara, finish it up.
Moved by Dreyfus, seconded by Loveland, that the meeting of the council in the municipality of Dutton Dunwich closes at 6:45 PM. All in favor? And that's carried.